Hi everyone. I think everyone knows about Twitch and how it's one of the most popular platforms to stream on, mainly because there's already a lot of popular streamers on there and they're able to make a living out of it thanks to sponsors, which is like the main way to get like real revenue from. And the reason why I bring this up because Twitch has announced an awful change to the policies to ban all sponsors on their site, which just created this huge uproar over it because they were effectively taking out like the main revenue source for a lot of streamers. In the past, a streamer couldn't be partnered if they were being sponsored, which means they were just an affiliate. So by banning sponsors, they're basically like forcing streamers to work with them so they can get like a cut from the subs they get. There were two types of negative reactions from this announcement. The first one being from fans that understood like how big of an impact this would have on their favorite streamers. The second reaction was from actual sponsored streamers where they threatened to move on to other platforms like YouTube and Kick where they had the actual freedom to be sponsored. I'm not surprised by the feedback because it's like such an awful move that can only push away streamers. So after a short time, Twitch made an apology and said they weren't going to implement that rule anymore. But those words are kind of empty because if you check their policies on their site, they still have that policy about not being sponsored. So it seems at the moment they only made the apology to kind of like soften the backlash they got from that original announcement while still like being able to proceed with the decision. The only kind of like logical reason I can think of why they decided on this idea is that if a streamer isn't partnered, Twitch can get a cut of revenue from the subs they have. And of course most streamers prefer to like be sponsored because then like they get to keep more, which is why they're gonna move platforms rather than staying on Twitch. And although the switch to another platform for most streamers may not be easy, it would definitely be better in the long run just staying on there. And I haven't even brought up the second reason why it'd be off to stay on Twitch, which was that they banned simulcasting as well, which was a policy that they haven't really mentioned as well. Simulcasting is when you can host your streams on other platforms like YouTube and Twitch at the same time, which is like a great way to like grow your audience rather than staying in one place. So by Twitch banning simulcasting, they're trying to like keep like a tight grip on their streamers by now allowing them to like spread to other sites. The only reason I could think of them banning these two things is for like their desire to keep on growing and like disregard any consequences from that. Because Twitch has been considered like the best platform to stream on for quite a while now, and every site like reaches a point where they can't possibly get any bigger, and that applies for like how much their profit can grow as well. And every company naturally tries to get bigger and make more profit, so Twitch has tried to achieve this by like eliminating the cause that's holding back a lot of their revenue. But this was definitely an idea from higher ups that like don't understand how a popular streamer operates, and like they underestimate like how important sponsors and simulcasting are for them. It's such a narrow-minded perspective to like point at one thing and like get rid of it, rather than stepping back and looking at the impacts that would happen if you removed it. Especially like the ban on simulcasting, because why would you try to prevent streamers from getting bigger, which would in turn make the platform Twitch even bigger as well. But now I want to talk about the future for streamers, because if this policy is fully implemented, that means that like most streamers would actually switch to other sites. One streamer who's very adamant about this choice was Asmongold, who showed like how easy of a choice it was to like just switch platforms.
There is no reason for Twitch to do this other than to monetize, monopolize, and take advantage of smaller streamers. And keep in mind, this is all streamers. This is fucking somebody like me over, and it's fucking over the 300 viewer Andy that you watch for your own niche game at night. This is fucking everybody over in a way that does not need to happen. So yes, I will move to another platform. Non-exclusively, I will still stream on Twitch occasionally. If this goes through, I will actively start pursuing a deal.
And in that clip, he mentions how the policy is like affecting all streamers, regardless of size. And if you were a small streamer, the switch to another site would just be easy and not as hard as like if you were a big streamer. The main platform I see brought up is Kick, and I even see Mr. B saying like he's gonna stream on there just like to protest against Twitch for that decision. And you have to mess up really bad to make somebody stream on a platform they would otherwise never consider, just like in spite of you. Kick has always tried to like compete with Twitch, but they can never really like kick off as a major platform in the beginning, which is why when people talk about like where they're gonna go, Kick is the main one to bring up. Because not only would their leave damage Twitch, but them streaming on Kick as well will like drag away any light or attention on Twitch as like a place to stream on. And although Kick has been brought up a lot, I actually feel like YouTube will be like the most popular pick to go to, because most streamers have like an established channel they could just go to, and Kick has like kind of like a negative stigma around it. But potentially if enough people like move over to that site, it might like beat that stigma and create like a more like positive public image. Twitch. One thing I want to mention now is that streamers who are sponsored can only make up the logo of the sponsors to only be like 3% of the screen, and burned in ads being banned as well. This, of course, is just trying to like push away sponsors by like restricting how much they can show as like compared to like when they could before, which is just a dumb, confusing rule that not a lot of people like understand. One streamer rightfully abused this rule by having a green screen in the background that had the sponsor up, so it wouldn't be like considered like part of the screen digitally. For now, I want you to read some replies on Twitter about like the new policy and the like 3% logo rule. One person just mocking them, saying like, if you're gonna make money, we want to slice you, which is just, that's all it really just boils down to. They're jealous they can't get like a cut from people who aren't partnered, so they're just forcing them to be partnered with them anyways. Reminds me of UFC not letting fighters have certain shit, and kept taking and taking until UFC fighters got wear Reebok. UFC fighters made so much money with their sponsors and got taken away. It's the same the UFC fighters never cut together to fight this issue. That is so true. If you didn't know, in the past UFC fighters got like a lot of freedom of what they could like have sponsored on their shorts, but then the UFC signed a certain deal that they could only have Reebok, which like really like limited how much they could make with like who they could be sponsored by. But in this situation it's way worse because it's not allowing any sponsorships as well, so your only way revenue source could only be like being part of Twitch, which takes a pretty like big cut from subs. Thankfully in this situation, streamers like have more freedom than like UFC fighters, because they have like more platforms to move to, as opposed to like the fighters who like could only really rely on UFC because they were like such a dominant force in like MMA. Going to have a logo cover 4% of my screen and wait for my permaban, they would honestly be like that pissy about it. They probably would permaban you for that. It's literally a hate crime to ban my logo right now, which is from Opera GX, and honestly, even though I don't consider them funny most of the time, that is probably like one of the tweets I've made is kind of funny. Twitch CEO last week was literally like, we want creators to make their own money so we don't have to pay them, then implements this to make streamers can't earn as much money. Lamau. That's the problem with most like big companies, where like they're always like flip-flopping with like what they make official and what they tell people they're gonna do. And somebody actually went and did the maths to see like how much 3% would actually take up on your screen. And if you look at this picture and look at the Twitter logo there on the right, it's such a small amount. Any big company would not want to sponsor any streamer for like that small amount of space. And then you have other tweets making fun of this rule, being like, this count as a burned-in ad. It's so weird seeing Twitch in like such a short amount of time ruin their image, especially when you look back and you saw like Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world, like struggle to even compete with them with Mixer. But now any small platform could be seen as more liable than Twitch, as long as they provide some freedom to be sponsored and don't implement any like chokehold restrictions like the 3% logo rule. For now, I just want to see like how Twitch manages the situation now, like if they're gonna like fully implement the new policy or not, and if they do, how they're gonna like manage the side after. So it'll be interesting to see like where Twitch is in a few years. But you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.